we have failed to get VMware up the last second couple of videos. All right, now, as I have been reflecting and thinking about things in the past, okay, which means I'm going back to memory, okay, of those nice long nights of me using VMware from a perspective of over a decade ago. So remember, I'm doing something that I don't focus on a regular basis. Using VMware is one thing. All right, making sure that my network card disconnects in the VM when I do not have a signal physically on the actual network card. Okay. I don't know if that's something I used to do or something I used to try to do, and I can't remember if I succeeded or failed. So we're going to do this from a perspective of connecting these devices to a to switch one. Okay. Now switch one is part of my home network, but it's not configured because I erased the configs for the purpose of. Am I missing one? Looks like I closed one. So let's go ahead and let's just close these, minimize this, minimize you, get out of World of Warcraft. All right, close, close, until I see my batch file, and there it is. Okay, so that's 4. That's 2. That's 1. So we're going to throw these over here. Okay, but we're only using switch 1. Okay, so we can actually get rid of these other ones here. Okay, so do show VLAN brief. Make sure we don't have any other VLANs. FAO1. Oh, FAO1 is a truck point because it automatically, dynamically was created. And remember, once you become a trunk, you're no longer on this list of interfaces. All right. So FAO1 do show interface trunk. Okay. You can see 24 is not on that list either. It goes from 30 to 23 to 25. All right, and that's because they're trunk ports. All right, which they were automatically dynamically created. I didn't create them. So now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so all the ports are in VLAN 1. Now, okay, from that perspective, we should be able to go to our VMs, close, and close all this stuff. CMD. And just for. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. So hold on for a second. Come on, click in there. Okay, so we're pulling a 169 and a 169 on here as well. Yes. Okay, so now we're going to plug one of these bad boys in the switch. Okay, and let's just make this 13 and 14. All right, let's plug the first one in, and we'll see it come up on the console port, even though it's mostly hidden. Okay. All right, it's up. Okay, now from that aspect, we can go into our network sharing here, and I did figure out how to rename them, by the way. Okay, so Nick 1 and Nick 2 is what we call them. Okay, all right. So we got past that, which is good. Unfortunately, I didn't record it, but like I said, this is a inter VLAN lab, not VMware. No. So now, as you can see, there's no more X here. Okay. So now, NIC 1 should be configured for PC 1. Okay. All right. So now, ipconfig, and now here's the thing. Okay. Just because that happened, okay, does not mean that, okay, DHCP is going to, or this PC is going to accept DHCP messages. You gotta understand, not the fact that it won't accept them, it's not calling out for it. It already called out for it. That's why it pulled the 169 IP address. Now, Microsoft decided to do this under the concept that you are unable to reach a DHCP server, we're going to automatically assign you an IP address, okay, for you to be able to communicate on the network in some fashion. Okay, maybe you have a loopback address that will pull a one that has been assigned to an 169 address. Okay, meaning that you can still get to some type of resources if necessary. It's just going to be limited because you're not going to put that loopback address on all your devices. Does that make sense? Okay, and of course, if you have a 169 address on your servers, okay, they must be in the same broadcast domain. Otherwise, you're going to have to create routing in your route tables in order to reach the 169 address. Okay, but like I said before, the auto aspect of anything, I'm not a fan of. Okay, because sometimes auto just automatically doesn't work. Okay, and from my perspective, we're not going to do it this way. So what we're going to do is go in this VM, okay, because we want it to ask for IP addresses or start calling out for the DHCP server. Now, why are we doing in the VM? Because I could shut down the port all I want, okay, and bring the port back up. However, the PC is not asking for IP addresses because it already has one. All right, okay. That's why port fast is so important. Imagine you not configuring port fast for all your PCs. Everybody, okay, all right. Everybody, even rebooting, is not going to be able to pull a IP address. Okay, they physically will have to unplug the cable and plug it back in, but we can't do that because it's a VM and it's not registering the interface being down. So what we can do, okay, now this is under the assumption that I'm able to reach my DHCP server, but we're about to find out. So we're going to go into here and we're going to shut this down, disable, okay, and now we're going to re-able. Okay. See, now we don't have one. Okay. And now, we'll wait. It's still identifying. And no, it pulled the 169 on itself. So let's kind of figure out why that is, or let's go in and see if I can just pull an IP address. Now, this might get me to the point because I believe I installed Home and I should install Pro, which is fine if I have to. And this will be another failed attempt. Okay, but then again, hey, you better start getting used to failures, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, because it is part of what we are doing. Okay, so why are we not going? Did I do something wrong? Okay, so now we're going to give it a 192.168.5.10. Okay. All right. Now, let's see if it took. Okay, it took. Good. So let's go ahead and ping ourselves. Actually, 127.0.0.1. When you ping that IP address, what you're doing is you're pinging itself. Okay? This is automatically an IP address that is set on TCP/IP. Okay? I can't tell you how many times someone could not get to resources and I would ping 127.0.0.1 and it will fail. Okay? Then I will uninstall TCP/IP and reinstall it and then we're good. Okay? Alright? So it's the same as pinging 192.168.5.10. Okay? Alright? I just wanted to throw that in there. Give me a second. just for an added piece of knowledge there. So now, pinging 127.0.0.1, you are pinging the communication of TCP/IP, okay, which is the same thing as pinging yourself, because if TCP/IP wasn't working, you're still going to fail pinging yourself. Okay, so now let's go over to 2. It really should have pulled DHCP, but I'm not trying to figure out why. Okay. Now in routing, we get to create our own DHCP servers on the router, so that's pretty cool too. Which you will do in production many times if you need IP allocation in some way, as a temporary basis or even as a um, permanent solution. I couldn't think of that word to save my life. Okay, so 192.168.5.11. Okay. TCP/IP can work with just an IP address and subnet mask without a default gateway. Okay. All right, which we haven't discussed yet, but we'll get there. All right. Now, okay, so you don't have to put those in. You don't have to put DNS in there. Okay. So now, IP config. Okay. So now that's good. Now, do show IP. Do show VLAN brief. Okay, so now PC1 port, what was it, port 13? Port 13 and 14 on the same VLAN. So now, okay, I'm going to go here and I'm going to ping 192.168.5.11. I did make that 11, right? Okay, so now I'm going to do this as a constant ping with a switch in the command, which is a -T. Okay? Now, this is failing, and I'm glad it's failing because you got to understand something. We have a cable connected from PC1 bridge to NIC 1 cabled into switch 1. Okay? All right? But the other one, PC2, is not plugged in. So since we are failing, which I'm glad we are, okay, that means that I'm unplugging the cable on the switch, by the way, to give me another cable. So that's why you're going to see that message. That shows me that the data or there's no bridging between the two VMs where this communication could happen. Okay, because you got to understand, those network cards in network connection are up and running. That's not true though, because they're not plugged in. But this is where emulating and things like virtualization can throw you for a loop, because this should have an X on it, not this one, but this one. Because it's not physically plugged in. All right, so let's go here and go here. Okay, but it is. From Windows perspective, in this VM, it believes it's connected somewhere. Okay? Alright? So, alright, if I was not using the bridging to a particular interface, these PCs will be able to communicate with each other. Okay? Actively. But we don't want that. Okay? We want a real scenario. Alright? And since I could not get this to turn into an X, I was like, you know what? We're going to try to... I don't think I've ever done that before. I can't remember. So we're going to test it in another way. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and physically plug in PC2 into 14. Oh my God, I cannot wait until I get my desk. I'm getting there, guys. Okay, so now, alright, so you gotta understand, it's up and running, okay, but, okay, we're going through, 14 is going through its listening stage, okay, because we did not enable port fast. That port's okay, alright? Now we gotta go through our learning, okay, which we're going now, okay, and we gotta wait for it to forward. Okay, so now that's a 15-second delay here, as it's telling us on our bridge, which is this bridge. Okay, so that's a 30-second delay. So now we're 40. Okay, good. Now let's make sure. Oops. Oh my God, what did I just do? Did I just hit Unity? Exit Unity. Okay, so this is 5.11, and what are we pinging? 5.11. Okay, and we are not. Okay, now let's try this, because like I said, this might be a version issue. Um, route print. Okay, look at that. That is not correct. There's the 5 though. And those are host addresses. Okay. All right. So once again, we have failed. Okay, because oh, you know what? That's not true. Hold on. Let's stop. Let's stop. Let's stop here. No, not what I want. That's not what I want either. Okay. Where are you? Seriously. That's weird. Okay. So anyway, we're going to turn on, and we're going to say turn off, turn off. Okay. Let's go to 1. Okay, this is interesting. So let's go in here, IP config. IP config. Okay. Okay. So we have failed again, and we're going to download a new version of Windows, or actually, I'm just gonna create new machines and use Pro because okay. I don't know why you're being so difficult. Because every time I put my mouse in there, it just doesn't want to type. All right, and I've been having that problem ever since Windows. I never had the problem with Windows 7, but ever since Windows 10. So something always loses focus on a particular window, and this is Windows Home. And I think, the difference between Windows Home and Pro, okay, which I've had to find out the hard way, is network availability. It does not give you the full concept, okay, because it's on the home version, and Windows Microsoft believes that if you're at home, you don't need to have these features, which is ridiculous. Okay, so you're going to be paying more for an operating system, okay, in order for you to assign IP addresses and get that stuff set up and working correctly. So once again, we have failed, okay, which isn't a problem. We got another 1,000 times to fail, okay, plus in our studies here. So this is also a fail. Okay, so I'm going to go through and reinstall Windows, which is going to take a while, and make sure it's professional. And from that aspect, then we'll end up cloning these PCs and make sure it's all the same. And see if that makes a difference. So, from that aspect, be strong, be determined, guys. Be Cisco.